This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. We're going to be taking on roles of kings or queens trying to gain power during the Middle Ages. And we're going to do that by drafting different characters and placing them in different parts of our kingdom, like the brewery, or the mill, or the inn, or the castle. We're trying to get the most points doing so. This is Majesty by Z-Man Games, and this is designed by Marc Andre, who's best known for Splendor. Now I had a chance to play this just once at PAX Unplugged that I just got home from. This was one of the hot ESSEN releases they had in their first look area. And so I just wanted to give it first impressions because I don't yet have the game, but I wanted to be able to talk about it because Marc Andre is a well-known designer now, and I wanted to tell you what I thought about this game. So I'm going to give you just a very quick overview of what the game's about, and then I'll get to my first impressions. In Majesty, you're going to be drafting different people from the kingdom and put them where they belong. And at the beginning of the game, you're going to get a bunch of cards that look like this, and the real cool thing is when you put them next to each other, it's one big kingdom. These are actually all different cards, but when you put them right next to each other, it has a really nice look. And you got the mill and the brewery and the cottage and the guardhouse, the barracks, the inn, and the castle. And so these are the different places you're going to be getting your characters that you draft. So this is what it might look like once it's set up, and then in the middle of the table you'll see a bunch of cards out there. Now the first card that you could possibly get is going to be free, the one furthest away from the deck, but if you want to get a card that's after that, you have to lay a worker, which in this case I'll use gray meeples on the right side. You'll place those on every card that you pass over, and once you take a card, the cards slide down to the left, a new card comes out closest to the deck, and you just continue like that. Your turn is that simple. On the bottom here, you can see how once you get a character, you're going to be placing them under the respective building that they belong in. Now each building activates when you put a character under that belongs there. For example, the mill. For every miller that you have there, you'll get a coin. For the brewery, for every brewer you put under there, including the one you place there, you'll get a coin and a worker that will help you get more cards. And then also below that it says that each player that has at least one brewer will get a coin. Let's shoot over to the barracks, the red one. For each one you'll get a coin. If you look at the guardhouse, the blue one just to the left of the barracks, for every guard, barrack person and inn person that you have, you'll get a coin. So you add all those people up totally and you'll get a certain amount of coins. The inn, you'll get a coin per inn person, and again, everybody else could get points if they have at least one inn. Points, of course, is coins here. The castle, you'll get a worker and a coin for each. Now, with the barracks, they work a little differently, the red ones. Now, if you have more attackers underneath your barracks than anybody else has defenders, all those people have to lose their card that's furthest to the left in their kingdom. So you see here on the right is the infirmary. That's where it would go face down, and for everyone you have there is going to be -1 at the end of the game. But you can help guard for that by having more guards than people have attackers. But if it's in the infirmary on the right face down, the cottage, the green one there, it says deal top card. You can essentially take the top card and put it back where it belongs. So over the course of the game, as you're adding cards, as you can see, some of them here so they have two different types. You can draft, when you draft the card, you can pick which type is face up, and you're going to be adding them underneath your kingdoms like that. And you can see in the bottom right of each of these cards is a point value. Whoever has the most of each of those at the end of the game is going to get that many points, and they go up 1 point from left to right, from weakest to strongest for that. You're also going to get a variety bonus at the end. For every one you have, you're going to square it. So if I have 3 different buildings with characters, it's going to be 3 times 3, which is 9. If you have at least one character on all 7 buildings, it's 7 times 7, which is 49 points. So you can work on a variety, or you can work on a synergy to try to get a ton of points throughout the game. The game has one large deck, but it's made up of 2 small decks that some come out early, some come out late. But once the deck is gone and everyone has drafted 12 cards, the game's over. So 12 turns, you count up all the points, all the endgame points. Whoever has the most is the winner. Alright, well, as I said, I played this at PAX once, and I want to just give you my first feelings of the game. This isn't a full review, but I do have quite some thoughts about it. First of all, it's very streamlined. Just like Splendor was very streamlined, this one is too. The turns are very quick, the mechanics are they're there, but you don't even notice they're there. The game just plays well, it's pleasant. No extra garbage here. This game has been trimmed down to the most streamlined as it possibly can be, and I usually like that in games. I like the drafting element with the currency. I always love that mechanism where the first card's free and every card after that you have to pay, and then if you take the card that many people have paid on, you get that currency. In this case, it's just little white meeples of workers, but in many other games, this mechanism is used as a part of the game to gather cards and do other things with, where in this game, it's literally the whole game. You're just drafting and getting the cards and having them do something once you get them immediately. So I like that aspect of this game. It's the whole game, but I did like that aspect of it. I also like the aspect of engine building. You know, Splendor was an engine building game at its core. This sort of is too, because even though you're drafting, you're building up, you're trying to get the right people in the right places, have some synergies where some buildings, when they activate, will give you points depending on what you have in other buildings. But, you know, so there's different ways of synergies to sort of build engines that make it easier for you to score points with other types of characters. There is a good amount of player action here with some of the buildings. So you've got the barracks where you can attack other players, and you get the guards where you can defend other players. And so there is that aspect of, there is a little bit of sort of not, I guess you'd call it take that, where you're attacking other players, but it's pretty easy just to see that's happening and try to defend it with your guards, which again give you another ability. There's another building that can give you a bunch of points for that. So there is that player interaction. Also, you know, there's some buildings that when you do things on, other people that have at least one card in that building will also get some points. So there's some player interaction with that as well. The game has a ton of variability, which I haven't yet been able to explore, but I've been able to see what that might be in this first play, because all of those cards just have A sides on them that we play the basic game on, but every card can flip over and play B, and you can use any combination of those. So there's a plethora of combinations that you can play. You could probably even take each card, flip it over randomly, and have a random game every time. And I was surprised at how different some of the buildings were. They weren't just like better or more complex buildings. Some of them had different synergies, which is going to make you change the way you play the game. So I'm going to be really looking forward to, in the future, once I get a copy of this, to play it many more times with the different types of variabilities and see, does that stay true what I think it's going to do, which is almost have maybe an infinite replayability where you could play it differently every time, and you'd have to see the differences of you know, what's the best thing to go for, what synergizes with what, because it did seem to change, you know, it would change what you're trying to go for. Now the game itself, it really has nothing new. A lot of times I say, you know, this game doesn't have anything new, it doesn't bring anything new to the table. This is true, but it grabs you. Marc Andre just has this knack, like he did in Splendor, for a game that doesn't have any sort of real new mechanisms and is easy and is light, but yet for some reason it just grabs you. This did the same for me. It really did grab me. It's simple. It doesn't look like something I would normally really like, but it really does. It was very entertaining, and I was dying to play this game again. I can't wait to play it again because nothing new, but it grabbed me. So anything that I'm worried about for future plays or possible cons I could see right off the bat. Yes, one for sure, we had to make change way too often. There was 1s, 2s, 10s, because a lot of the cards just get you 2, so there's a lot of 2 coins, but there were no 5s, so we were constantly making change a lot throughout the game. I would have liked to have seen them maybe have some 5s and things like that, where it'd be easier so that you didn't have to continue to keep making change as often. I'm wondering how scripted this might feel over time. I just talked about the variability and how that's a big part of this game, and I think it is. But I'm wondering if it will still feel somewhat scripted over time. So this isn't a con for now. This is a worry for future once I play it more later on down the road. Will it hold up over time with that variability, or will it feel a little bit scripted of trying to go after the same things a lot? I would also like to see maybe as a variant or an expansion where you could, you know, get some secret goals that you're trying to go for, like maybe have the most of something, or something where you have, you know, secret goals, or maybe starting abilities where it's a little bit easier to get a certain type or something. I'd like to see this branch out a little bit. I know I just mentioned I loved how streamlined it is, and I do, but I would also like to see them do other things to make it a little bit more interesting. But with that being said, I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Even after one play, I probably would bet after multiple plays we'll have to see what happens. But it's probably going to get a saxophone serenade unless after, you know, 5 more plays or so I feel like it's going to become too scripted. But I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's really good. It had that elegance of Splendor, but yet it felt very different. So if you're looking for a quick game that's 20 minutes probably, but really grabs you and is very streamlined, then you're going to want to check out Majesty.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.